Okay, let's move forward. What's next?
Is Carlos the first C film?
You got it, Carlos.
Okay.
And how do you? So I thought it was Oliver, but it's Olivier Assayas. Is that how you pronounce his
Yeah,
name?
Olivier. I think it's. I've always said Assayas, but I don't know that I've ever actually heard anyone say his name, so I just made that up.
And it's
Assayas.
2010. Let's just say that. And you can talk about the song in the movie. It sounds amazing. I mean, I'm dying to see it sometime.
Yeah, this is a film I've seen now probably about 5 or 6 times, and it's long. It's almost 4 hours, or maybe a little bit over 4 hours. Originally done for French TV, but it got an opening in Toronto at the Cinematheque, and I went and saw it, and I was just so taken with it because I had no idea that it was going to even have a soundtrack. You know, I just thought I was going to see this long French film that was acclaimed at the time. I think I'd seen one film by him up to that point. I think I'd seen Something in the Air, which I write about in the book. No, sorry, Something in the Air is, yeah, that's him. Yes, it is.
Another one with the long scene. I can't remember.
Yeah, sorry. It's Something in the Air where he doesn't use the Thunderclap Newman song.
Right.
And then I'd seen that, and then later I came to Cold Water. But this came between.
Right.
So it's about a real historical figure, this terrorist who was all over the place in the early 70s, Carlos the Jackal, played by Edgar Martinez. And it just sort of takes you through from his early days where he's trying to hook up with this pro-Palestinian organization. Takes you through, he does a couple of celebrated in the sense that they become famous, terrorist acts. One is taking over taking over an OPEC meeting. They burst in and they take everybody hostage and they get a plane. You know, my knowledge of the history of terrorism isn't the best, but they have affiliates from other countries. Japan's Red Army was a terrorist group, and then they're very affiliated with this German group, which is where you get this character Nada as part of that group, and she's crazy, she's nuts, and he ends up marrying one of them. Can't think of her name offhand. So it covers the main bulk of it takes place during the 70s, but then it follows them right into the fall of the Berlin Wall, where they're almost like just these anachronistic figures from the past at that point, and it ends. They're kind of a joke by the time the film ends. Carlos and his German friend Johann. There's in a 4-hour film. There's music. There's more music than the 4 or 5 songs I focus on.
Right.
Which would be, and I think the first one to really catch me off guard, because it just was like, wow, was New Order's Dreams Never End, which is great. That's the first song on Movement, which, I loved it at the time, and it just kind of, not that it got forgotten, but then they went on to have all their hits and all their signature club songs. And I'd forgotten when that came up in the film. I think I'd forgotten how much I love that. And that really still sounds like Joy Division, right?
Yeah, very much so.
That's used. Wires Ahead is used, which I always loved. I loved when that came out.
That was the mid 80s.
That was their big comeback.
Right? Yeah, I like that song too.
The Ideal Copy, I think the album was called.
I think we were at Sunrise when that came out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then a song that I'd never heard till the film, because it was only out as a single, it wasn't on Pink Flag, is Wires Dash.
Right.
Which now I think it's one of their 3 or 4 greatest songs. We talked a lot about Wire and how great their greatest songs are. It is so good. That's used twice in the film. And I thought for sure I was going to pick one of those when I made up this list of discography, Clipography. At first I included Dot Dash. Then when I rewatched the film, actually I just went to the film to find that scene. asked on ILX, can anybody point me to where that scene is? Because I didn't want to watch the film again. I just watched it 2 months ago. And, you know, it's one of those films, I'm going to watch it one time too many, and I'll never want to see it again. So I want to avoid watching the whole film. I watched the dot dash scene. It was good, but it wasn't as good as I remembered, you know. I think it just caught me off guard in the film. It was probably the music wasn't loud enough. It wasn't played long enough. So I said, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch the whole film again. And I ended up picking Sonic Reducer, which is just great. It is the wildest scene where we cut back to Nada. She's separated from Carlos. She's in a car with, I don't know if it's her boyfriend or just another guy from the terrorist group. They're just driving along and they see a cop car behind them. Actually, Sonic Reducer's already started playing. It comes in just at the tail end of the previous scene, which is where we catch up with this other character who's now in hiding. Sonic Reducer starts, cuts to them. Now she reaches to turn it down at one point, so it's playing on the car. It'd have to be a tape deck.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't think Sonic Reducer got played on the radio.
College maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, but where are they? They're in Germany.
I was going to say,
so.
where is this?
It's possible. Who knows?
Yeah.
So they get in the border guard. He says, stops them, show them the passports, and he says, I need to check your trunk. And he starts to walk back the trunk. And this is this kind of character she is. She doesn't even think twice. She just gets out of the car and murders him, shoots him.
Wow.
And then she gets in the car, drives away. She kills another cop, and Sonic Reducer's playing. And as I mentioned in the scene, you know, I'm sure Olivier Assayas had this very much on his mind, and I'm sure he took some criticism for it. Is it a film that terrorizes glamorous or glamorizes terrorists? That's what
right. Terrorizes glamour.
Yeah. Does it glamorize terrorists? I don't think it does. You know, he calls them into question all the time. But in this one scene, she looks like a rock star. She's got on this great fur-lined coat, she's got sunglasses, she's got kind of go-go boots on. And, you know, that was part of that, right? Fassbender made a film about it. I think Patti Smith, did she not have that kind of imagery running through some of her songs or photos that she took?
Even just her version of Hey Joe with the Patty Hearst stuff. Like,
That's
it's
right.
Definitely, and that was like the year of, or like 2 years, like that was like her first single, like 1975
74.
or 74.
Did you see that?
So.
Did you see Rob's list of debut singles?
No, I should look at it. Is it on there?
Yeah, take a look. Yeah, that was on there.
That is great. I love that cover, actually.
So yeah, I think this whole scene is definitely kind of an homage to Patti Smith. I really do. And it's great. It's so wild.
And I do love this song. I love Sonic Reducer. Sonic Reducer.
It's a great song. I don't put it in quite in the class of those other three just as a song because there's something a little bit cheesy about the Dead Boys. I mean, I don't think you can get around that. But it's a great song. My band at U of T, we did that song.
Oh yeah.
It's the time I could play it on the guitar. And it's a fun, song to sing along with for sure because it's got that cartoonish over the top vocal.
It's so Iggy, it's like Iggy all the way sort of thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's a total Iggy Pop imitation. But wow, this film and that led me to Cold Water, which I don't know if we'll talk about it today, but that's coming up.
Yeah.
And he is a guy who clearly is a great pop music director. Wow. Even something in the Air, which isn't as good as either of those two, has 2 or 3 really good uses of music.